Okay, here we are, last leg. So if you need a bio, that's great. Um, I want to see if um, I want to see how quick this actually comes up. I want to show you a quick video. You thinking of other questions that you want to ask? We'll start with the ones that we didn't get in first. Let's see if I get lucky. This goes fast, fine. If not, we'll do something else. Oh, good. It should be. Yeah, you guys are in that line. So, um, okay, so I want you to listen to this video on Brene Brown on her perspective of vulnerability.
I wrote a book. I published a theory, but something was not okay. And what it was is that if I roughly took the people I interviewed and divided them into people who really have a sense of worthiness, that's what this comes down to, a sense of worthiness. They have a strong sense of love and belonging. And folks who struggle for it, and folks who are always wondering if they're good enough. There was only one variable that separated the people who have a strong sense of love and belonging and the people who really struggle for it, and that was the people who have a strong sense of love and belonging believe they're worthy of love and belonging. That's it. They believe they're worthy. And to me, the hard part of the one thing that keeps us out of connection is our fear that we're not worthy of connection, was something that personally and professionally I felt like I needed to understand better. So what I did is I took all of the interviews where I saw worthiness, where I saw people living that way, and just looked at those. What do these people have in common? And I have a slight office supply addiction, but that's another talk. So I had a manila notebook, a manila folder, and I had a Sharpie. And I was like, what am I going to call this research? And the first words that came to my mind were wholehearted. These are kind of wholehearted people living from this deep sense of worthiness. So I wrote at the top of the manila folder. And I started looking at the data. In fact, I did it first in this in a 4-day, very intensive data analysis where I went back, pulled these interviews, pulled the stories, pulled the incidents. What's the theme? What's the pattern? My husband left town with the kids because I always go into this kind of Jackson Pollock crazy thing where I'm just like writing and going and kind of just in my researcher mode. And so here's what I found. What they had in common was a sense of courage. And I want to separate courage and bravery for you for a minute. Courage, the original definition of courage, when it first came into the English language, it's from the Latin word cur, meaning heart. And the original definition was to tell the story of who you are with your whole heart. And so these folks had, very simply, the courage to be imperfect. They had the compassion to be kind to themselves first and then to others, because as it turns out, we can't practice compassion with other people if we can't treat ourselves kindly. And the last was they had connection, and this was the hard part, as a result of authenticity. They were willing to let go of who they thought they should be in order to be who they were, which is, you have to absolutely do that for connection. The other thing that they had in common was this. They fully embraced vulnerability. They believed that what made them vulnerable made them beautiful. They didn't talk about vulnerability being comfortable, nor did they really talk about it being excruciating, as I had heard earlier in the shame interviewing. They just talked about it being necessary.
Well, that's close enough. So you get just a chance to kind of hear her perspective. So we're back to this, and I'm going to see Danny Jones and AJ. I'm going to put you so you can jump in first. Oh, I'm sorry, Cassie. You jump in first, and then Danny, a presenter.
And by the way,
or AJ.
Brene Brown is in my sights. I really want her to be a fellow. She rocks. So
That
is that Cassie?
so that's Cassie.
Oh, yes. Hi. Well, my question was, in your book, I read about, you mentioned
Where are you in
should
the world,
listen
Cassie?
to... Oh, yes. Thank you. I'm in San Antonio, Texas.
Hi.
Yes. So my question was, in the book, you mentioned we should be listening to podcasts on leaders and what makes them great leaders, and I was wondering if you had any
Which
suggestions.
book is that?
Leadership Beyond Reason.
Okay. That you need to be listening to leaders on podcast. And so your question is which ones, or what was it?
Yeah, if you had any recommendations for podcasts that you listen to or that we should be focusing on.
I don't know who has podcasts or who has not, but the people to devour. And by the way, Scott, you pitch in here too. Scott's omnivorous like I am. I love Kouzes and Posner, who actually Elisa referenced. Anything that Collins does and Lencioni does are great. I really like Pink, Daniel Pink, and Malcolm Gladwell. John Maxwell's a great, great classic. Scott, who else comes to mind?
Patterson's. They wrote Crucial Conversations, but they wrote Influencer.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be another one.
The Heath brothers, the guys that wrote Sticky and all that, wonderful stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Seth Godin's great with marketing. Actually, I like Tim Ferriss. He's kind of out there and don't get offended easily, but he's got good stuff. Anyway, hope that helps, Cassie.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, take care. Al, oh, no, I'm sorry, not Al, but AJ. Hello, AJ.
No audio. Thank you.
Can you hit your microphone button up there?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, but go louder.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, so you're chilling tonight, huh?
Yeah, I'm relaxing. We have a hurricane coming
Yeah.
our way.
The guy's sitting in his bed. He's got it on the headboards against his head. He's on the laptop. He's chilling.
Yep. So I'm in Wilson, North Carolina. We have a hurricane coming our way, so we're getting ready.
Now, you guys got to know the story. And he knew he was setting me up. I was raised in Wilson, North Carolina. And so when I heard that, we became besties about barbecue. And my wife sought him out and made sure she knew him.
So definitely not besties about barbecue. I don't think we can agree on that.
Well, but there's time for spiritual growth for you. I mean, you're a young guy. You can learn to grow spiritually. What's up, man? What's your question?
So my question is, how do you manage a boss that's a micromanager? You've had several conversations with that individual and still no change.
And you yourself have had several conversations with him?
Yes.
Okay. And so when you have the conversation, what is his response to your need?
He will say yes for about a day, and then tomorrow it'll completely change.
Okay, all right. Hey, Jay, I want to tell you something. It is time for role play.
Not this time.
It is time for role play.
All right.
People from Wilson have to show what they're made of, and you have to.
Okay.
So, what's your what do I call your boss?
Bubba.
All right. All right. And so I'm coming to you and having another meeting in your office. And you're gonna be Bubba. You act like Bubba acts, and I'll be the healthy AJ, and we'll see if we can get a resolution. Okay.
Okay.
So hey, Bubba, thanks for making the time.
No problem. Anytime. Anything I can do to help. What's going on?
Right, appreciate it. I've been going over like my notes about our meetings because it's really important that I really do a good job for you, and I believe in the vision of the company, and I believe in you as the guy that I report to. But we've had these several conversations I was looking at my notes on, and they're always about kind of the micromanaging aspects where you sort of hover over me and you don't give me enough freedom to really do things, and I'm doing pretty well, but I kind of need more space to make decisions and choices. Remember all those talks we've had the last few weeks?
No, you're right, AJ, man. But you gotta share with me. You gotta say our password. You gotta tell me I'm gardening. That's the key word that you gotta tell me when we're doing it. But that's my thing. I gotta work on that.
Oh, that password that we agreed so that I could say it. Did we come up with that? Refresh my memory a second, Bubba. Did we come up with the password so that I could say it in public without embarrassing, or just kind of a funny thing between you and me privately?
No, that's something you say in public. I know you've said it a couple of times, and this is something I pay attention when you say it, but I'll work on that, man.
Have I not been consistently doing that? Have I been sort of dropping the ball and saying gardening?
No, you've been saying it. I just got to keep it in my front of my forefront as well.
Well, I appreciate that, but I'm afraid that I'm learning all this stuff at this institute, and we find out that if what you're doing isn't working, to say we're going to try harder kind of doesn't work either. I think maybe I've got the wrong solution here. When you find yourself kind of hovering over me, and I say, "Hey, can you give me some space?" Tell me first before I say anything why you're doing it, because I'm not. You're my boss, but it really helps me as a learning leader to know why you do it. So I don't want you to go, oh, I'm a bad guy for doing it. Just what do you think the why is? I'm finding out the why is very important, Bubba. What's your why in the micromanaging?
So AJ, you do a great job. I trust you. You run the plant. You do a great job with it. But sometimes I just need some information. I just step in. And at the end of the day, I'm the boss. What I say goes. And in this case, in some cases, I think I need to step in, and that's what I'm doing.
Okay, well, that's helpful, but it's also confusing, Bubba, because on one hand you say, yeah, I've got this problem and help me stop it. On the other hand, you say, I need to do this. So on one hand you're saying it's the wrong thing to do. Other times you're telling me the right thing to do. Can you see why I kind of feel a little confused by that, Bubba?
I can. And now I'm thinking I've never used that tactic, so I should say something like that.
Stay in role.
Okay.
So what would he say to that? What would he say if you kind of brought that new aha to his head? What would he do with that?
I think I see that. Now, that's a good point. I've never thought about it that way. I never thought that this could cause you some confusion.
Okay, so which way do you lean? That you're doing the right thing or the wrong thing?
I would say the wrong thing.
Thank you. That really helps me to trust you, to follow you, to be loyal to you, that you are that okay with this. So it kind of sounds to me like what happens, and I do the same thing myself with the people that I've got under me, is you come in because you get anxious, you want to make sure it goes right, and then you sort of justify it by saying, well, I am the leader, so I have the right to do it. So even though just because you're anxious and you can't, it's kind of hard to trust me and throw the football to me, you justify it. So if you'll stop justifying, you know what I'm going to do? Now that I know that that's how you feel, can I just amp up the gardening? I might say it 5 times a day for a week and see how it helps. I think sometimes repetition helps. Would that be okay without you being offended?
Yeah, no. This is something you and I got created, and we're going to use it. And if you need to use it more than once, that's not a problem.
All right, but here's what I'm going to add something to it. I think this will help both of us. I'm going to really amp up the word when I feel you doing that. And then can I have 10 minutes at the end of our shift to debrief the day with you? Do you have 10 minutes for me?
Yeah.
Okay, 10 minutes before we end the shift, I want to go to you and say either I accomplished so freaking much for you because you backed off and you threw the football to me and you let me run down the field, or I want to say I didn't get jack done because you won't let me go. And I'm not mad or anything, but I was not able to make you more successful. So I either give you a report card of, hey man, you gave it to me and look what I did for you and you're going to look great, or you're crippling yourself. So you get a little bit of feedback on how your micromanagement is affecting your own bonus package.
I love feedback. That's good.
We'll do that. I'll start tomorrow, and thank you for being that kind of leader.
Oh, thank you. No, thank
All
you, Dr. Townsend. This is helpful. I think I can use some of the things that you said. I think it will help. He's very open.
That was the one thing I want to mention, AJ. He sounds like a guy. He's confused. He doesn't understand his interior self, but he's not defensive. He's kind of open. You can work with a guy like that. Good things are going to happen.
All right. Thank you.
All right, buddy. Okay, Danny.
Hey, Dr. Townsend. Can you hear me?
Good to see you. Yep.
Good to see
Or
you.
are you like in sounds like you're in like a biker bar or something. Where are you?
I'm in a coffee shop. It was empty until it started raining outside. So I don't know if you can hear me. My question is quick. I'm in Hawaii. We're awaiting also a hurricane, but it's probably not coming either. Anyway, my question is, I have a friend who's in real estate. And he has what he calls the magic wand question, which is when he's working with a client, he asks them, okay, so this house you don't seem totally satisfied with. If I had a magic wand and I could wave it and make this house as it is exactly how you want it, what would it change, or what would this magic wand change? Do you have a question when you're consulting or when you're coaching that's kind of like your magic wand question, that it really helps narrow down a lot of questions and put it into a more tangible way for you to answer?
Oh, it's very similar. I mean, I use it all the time. I just call it the blue sky. I just say, you guys certainly got challenges, and I've been, looking around and I've been kind of meeting people. I know you got challenges, but people can fight their challenges and overcome their challenges if we have the blue sky in mind. So if you had the kind of company, the kind of organization that you loved getting up in the morning for, and you felt so perfect for it, and you love what you're producing, and you successful you want to be, what would that look like? Tell me that kind of company. And people, instead of coming into here's how bad we suck, which you're going to have to get to sooner or later, you can't. It's kind of hard to face the problems if you can't say, yeah, I started this business 30 years ago because I wanted to see kids have great shoes, and I found the finest leathers from Argentina and all that. Get them to the blue sky. It's always, and then you just say, great, let's work down from blue sky to where we are now, and then they can tolerate it. It's a really good question.
All right, thanks so much, Dr. Townsend.
All right, have a good dinner, Danny. All righty. Dale, good to see you, man.
Good evening. Again, in Dayton, Ohio, you're at a little bit.
Bump up a little bit of the volume, Dale.
Pardon?
If you could get a little bit louder.
Yes, sir. I can. Is that better?
Much better, thank you.
Okay, sorry. So just to be clear, I spent most of my time associated with military, and so gone through lots of strategic planning exercises for many years. Very different experiences, but very seldom, actually, I would say never, have I seen real significant follow through. So my question to you is, what's your best strategy for really encouraging that follow through once you get the great strategy in place?
Can I ask a diagnostic question?
Yes, sir.
Let's go to the why. You're in the military, and the military, has a chain of command structure, and follow through is very important to the military. So what's the why, and why you think, what you've observed over the years, of why it's not working, why there's not execution and follow through?
There's two primary elements. First is leadership changes regularly. So you have a vision which may be perfectly appropriate for the organization, but the next leader coming in every 2 years feels he needs to leave his own mark. So one piece of that. The other part of it is that there are a lot of dynamics external, just like, I'm sure just like there are in business, but as you shift and change, I work mostly, especially with the Air Force, national defense strategy changes, in turn, Air Force changes, and finding out what that means and how you adjust it. Sometimes they end up starting from scratch rather than accommodating or adjusting strategies.
Yeah, Dale, you'll know this. There's a great, I love military history and stuff, and there's a great quote that says, "No battle plan survives the first encounter with the enemy." Things change, baby, right?
Absolutely, and actually I made a note earlier, so one of the great strategy planning courses I went through actually had a great advent for that, which was actually pre-planning exit strategies for critical points of obstacles, where you actually planned for hitting those challenges and what an exit strategy would look like at various points in that planning. But again, the whole point, very seldom have I seen leadership follow through beyond a year. So I guess, and that's really hard to call a strategy.
Let me give you two ideas, and I'm going to divide the answer up into the two questions or the two whys you proposed. The leadership change, that means that the next leader, now I'm assuming you have some influence, because if you can't do anything, you can't do anything. But the way this has to work is the next leader, the guy or the gal that's up right now, that person needs to be committed to a strategy that will outlive them. If you've got a 1-year revolving door, that person has to say, this is a strategy that I'm going to follow through, and then I'm going to, as I'm transitioning out, I'm going to give somebody, I don't know, my successor 30 days of orientating them to them. It's sort of like a legacy, and it's larger than me, it's bigger than me, and it's going to have more influence than me, and the leadership's got to commit to, and then that person is going to be there for a year. Their last 30 days, they're going to do to the next person. So it's an entire commitment of whoever is sitting in that seat, that I am here to serve a strategy, not to put my own spin on that strategy. That's number one. In terms of the circumstances change because they're, organizations are complex. There's a big difference, Dale, between tactics and strategy. And I talk about that in one of y'all's introductory courses, that strategy must determine the tactics. A lot of people think of tactic as a strategy. So, okay, let's go to another country, or let's change what color we paint things, or change pricing. Those are tactics. So the leadership has got to understand tactics can and should be changed, but unless the strategy can be proven to really be deficient, you must adhere to it. You default to, we will use until you can prove otherwise. If people keep those two mentalities, things work very well. Thanks, Dale. Okay. Is it Catalan? Can you press the little microphone button up there somewhere? Not yet. Keep pressing. Not yet. Well, Catalan, I'm sorry about this.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute.
Catalan.
Something just happened. Something good happened.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay,
My
say
name is
1, 2,
Catalan.
3, 4, 5.
Hello. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hello.
Okay. Speak a little louder
Again?
and a little.
Now? Is it better now?
You're right. Yes.
All right. Sorry. Yes. My name is Catalin. Thank you. I'm going to have to lead a team meeting.
Now, where in the world are you?
Okay, my name is Katalin. I'm from Hungary, and I'm right now in the UK, actually in Cambridge. It's 3 a.m., I think, or 3:15.
Aren't you sleeping?
Yeah, very sleepy, but it's more important here, what's going on. So my question is that I will have to lead a team meeting soon in a few weeks for the first time for a very new team with young leaders who are not really educated or not very, educated, but not really ready, matured, experienced leaders. This is the kind of team meeting where we will talk about missions, visions, and values of a non-profit organization. And we also have to organize a fundraising event very soon in a few weeks. So quickly, I have to get to the stage where our team is kind of a team, a functioning team. These young people were students in America for a while, and then they came back to Hungary, and the purpose, the mission is to give back to Hungary whatever we learned in America, let's say. My question is, these young people have to be volunteers. I didn't choose them. They are just team members because they volunteered, but they are not very motivated. My big issue or challenge to get to their heart, to get them become motivated and help our team to become a team in a very relatively short period of time. Thank you.
They're volunteers. Why aren't they excited? Most of the time, volunteers volunteer because they're excited.
Well, the foundation, the organization is not very young foundation. We're taking over from an old board. We are the new curator, the new board of trustees, let's say, of a 20 years old organization who helps Hungarian students to go to America for a couple of years. And these young people who came back last year were the next generation who actually had to accept these roles, kind of. They were kind of under pressure to accept it. So they are motivated, but not so much. They are kind of not, they don't have the right mindset, the right leadership mindset. What I'm hoping that I can explain them that we are not just taking care of, we are not administrators. We have a vision, a mission, and we have values, and we want to, we have a couple hundred people during the last 20 years who are now in Hungary, and we're trying to give them a new, fresh sense of community and sense of belonging. We want to have a new vision. I wish really from my heart, but I don't know how to engage them, how to involve them, how to convince them, or buy them in, or I don't know how to say.
All right. How long is this meeting, and how many people are in it?
6 people, and it's going to be we have a long afternoon and evening, half day, let's say.
Maybe 4 hours or so.
Yeah, 5 hours, let's say.
All right, that's good. All right, let me give you an agenda to take it through. Now, is the mission and vision and values already established?
The mission, the 20 years ago registered foundation has a mission, but I think we have to refine it. We have to rethink it, that it has to become our mission, and we have to find our values, the new board, the new members' values. We can change many things.
Has there been a written down somewhere documented vision statement as well as mission?
Yeah, 20 years ago there was one, and it's sort of what I try to explain, that students go to America. Hungary used to be a former communist country, so students go there and bring back knowledge. These are mostly Christian students, young people who will try to contribute to Hungary, to bring back values and what we learned from America and help ethically, morally, being future leaders and being examples for Hungarians, let's say. It's a foundation for scholarships.
I think you have a real opportunity here, Katalin, because it sounds like you have some freedom and autonomy. I think I would begin that meeting by saying, I'd like to, first you've got to meet each other. I'm Joe, I'm Sam, I'm Sally, why am I here? You got to get them to connect. But then I would say, the goal I have tonight with us, I have 2 goals. One is to walk away with an improved mission and vision, core values, using your input. And secondly, if we have time, to do some initial planning for a fundraising event so we can have money. But the most important thing is the first part. And I'm going to go over that mission and vision with you. I would like for you to tell me where it works and where it doesn't work. You got six of us here. And I want you to put your own vision and mission into this. I mean, there are certain parameters we can't change. It's going to be about Hungary and giving back and taking best practice from the United States. But how would you like for it to look? People don't get excited about things that they feel are forced down their throats or things that cannot change. We just go into what's called learned helplessness, and we just kind of check the boxes and we're not engaged. So your job as the person running that evening is to say, what would you like for it to be? Now, there's some certain things that can't be. We can't say we're going to run a McDonald's hamburger place, but our mission is to do X. And as broad as we can be, how would you change things? And I would also, with that, Catalina, I would concentrate on the vision statement. And what I mean by this is get the mission clear, but then say, we need to come up with a statement that excites you, it excites your passions, it excites me, because mission is about purpose and the why, and vision is about passion, emotion. And you say, I would like for the 7 of us to put together a picture of how Hungary would look with these kind of best practices. How would it affect you and your friends and your family and all that sort of thing. I think it's your best shot. I think you have a great opportunity.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's a good structure.
All right.
Thank you.
Before I go to the next caller, I'm calling for Michelle. Michelle, I want you to come back in the line because I've been reviewing some of the answers, and I think that you felt embarrassed, and I feel awful that you feel embarrassed. So can you come back, Michelle? And I want you to let's talk about that. We talked about your question, which is a really good question about somebody who's doing biz dev and sales and did better in sales and biz dev. And I think you felt kind of bad about how I handled that, and I feel bad. And so I want to repair that. So get back on there. Tell Scott you want to get back in the line. And now we've got Aaron. Hello, Mr. Aaron.
Hello, Dr. Townsend. I'm going to shift gears just a little. Oh, Aaron from Santa Maria. I'm going to shift gears just a little bit, but I think it's going to be helpful for the organizational leaders and executive coaches too.
Aaron, it sounds like you're pushing for a book. That's all it sounds like to me.
I don't know. I do love your books.
Okay, what's your question, man?
So I'm wondering what components are associated with core emotional learnings, because it seems more than just emotions. So I was wondering if cognitive schemas, somatic body memory, and memory, and like the memory network component also have to do something with core emotional learnings. So I'm just wondering if is it just the emotions, or is there more to it as you get down?
Oh, clearly they've got to be emotions to it. Therefore, the word learning. There was a day when it was all about emotions. And everybody just gestalted and felt things and cathartic, and it was great. And we didn't have any words. We just, what do you feel about what you feel about what you feel about what you feel? Okay, that'll be $85. Well, that was good, but people never had any structure and focus. And then there were the people who said, no, it's all thoughts. Think better and you'll feel better. And don't worry about the feelings. They'll follow the thoughts. Well, that was crazy too. God made us to be both. So therefore, I really like the word core emotional learning, and here's why. Core means to the character. Now, you know we're based on 4 things, and I'm going to drill these into you till you see them in your mirror. Attachment, the ability to need and be vulnerable and be empathic and attuned. Separation, which is boundaries and learning how to be differentiated and have your own voice. Integration, where you got the judge in your head, but the judge is nice to you and you have a nice judge to other people and you don't go into perfectionism or entitlement. And then adulthood, which has to do with relating as an adult to other people, not a child or not an adolescent, but knowing your mission and vision. Core means the feeling and the conclusion about that feeling that comes to that. Emotional means it's the feeling part. Learning means the articulation of it. So I'll give you an example. A great core emotional learning would be, I understand that when I am anxious beyond what I should be, when I'm too anxious for my circumstances, that a lot of times it's because when I'm alone, I feel like nobody's going to help me. But now I'm learning that I've got lots of people around me, and I have no need to be anxious. And I've also taken internalized a lot of love from God and other people. So my new core emotional learning is, even when I'm under stress, I don't need to be anxious because I have so much inside me and around me. So absolutely, core is the character, the 4 stages. Emotional is the feeling part, and learning is the cognitive part. You really can't get great growth without all 3 of those, I think.
Wow, fantastic answer. I love that, and I love how that character is in there too. So good.
Okay, Aaron, great question. Thank you. Scott.
Hey, I'm Henry Cloud.
If you can't be Henry Cloud. I think he's in federal prison.
Hey, I had a question. It's on my heart to get into,
Scott, where are you in the world?
Phoenix. Sorry, Phoenix, Arizona. Um, it's on my heart to get into coaching, consulting, mainly for worship leaders. My background is worship leading and reached a point where it just felt extreme isolation, and that led to some personal pain, addictions. Anyways, I'm on the other side of the redemption now. But my heart is to really get into that type of career. My question is, in your opinion, should I
You
dive
mean to
right?
have a specialty?
Right, right. So my question is, should I dive right into my own business right off the bat, or seek to maybe put myself under someone who's already doing it, maybe learn from them, maybe join their team, and then eventually branch out? Or what would be your opinion on that?
By the way, it's a good thing to do, and I know I got a lot of worship leader friends, and they're under a lot of stress. It would be a good career for you. Let me tell you why people choose one or the other. This is not a better or worse. This isn't apples or oranges. Some people go out on their own because they know they still need mentoring and supervision, but they just outsource it. You know, they hang up their shingle, they've got the money, they can network well, and they know that they've been evaluated. I mean, if you're a graduate institute, it says something about you. I mean, it says that you have some bona fides as it is. I mean, a master's is nothing to sneeze at, right? So you go out and hang your shingle and learn how to, get business cards and blog yourself and market yourself, and you just pay somebody for supervision and say, you're really a master of this, you're a Yoda at this, and for like a year, I want to meet with you once or twice a month and tell you what my caseloads are like and where my challenges are, and you're okay. Other people say, this would be the oranges part, I feel too isolated when I do that, and I feel the comfort and the kind of collegiality and the attaboy and the support of a team, and then it's sort of like a little less anxiety producing. So some people kind of like, I just go in and make my mistakes and spend the money, and it's higher risk, higher reward. Other people go, I want to be more gradual. It all depends on your comfort zone. I've done both, and I like both, but they're the best two paths.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Scott, good luck.
Thanks.
All right. Hi, Michelle. Can you turn on your...
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you fine. Michelle, thank you
Okay.
for coming back.
Okay. Thank you for taking my question again. I guess I didn't clarify a lot of the things that were happening with this person, but basically, he is producing, so he did 2 million last year. So the thing is, he looks good on his own sales, but he was supposed to be developing all 8 other salespeople in the whole company, and that's what he wasn't doing. So the aspect of his own sales, he was doing great. We don't want to fire him. But the aspect of the business development portion of what he was hired for, he wasn't meeting those goals. And so...
I totally understood that. Let me tell you what I think the problem is. I think I used the wrong word when I gave you the solution. When I said fire him from that, I didn't mean fire the guy. I mean fire him from the biz dev and say that's not working for you, and tell him to put all of his energy into sales that he does.
Yeah, right. We really thought he would be a great business development person, and so we were hoping that would be something that would come out in him. And he keeps kind of waffling back and forth, saying he can do it, and when he gets up and running. And so the thing that was frustrating for us, though, we put him through all these vital factor meetings and MAP seminars and things like that, and the thing that bogged him down was being at a director level and then listening to all the other departments talk about all of our other issues. So, yeah, we actually did just release him from business development, and
being director. But I don't think his pay scale is changed. So I was just wanting to hear what your expertise would be. That's all.
I've been in the same situation many times, and a lot of people are really good subject matter experts. They're good in sales, and they eat what they kill, right? They're good predators in a good sense. But then you put them into managing other people, developing other people. It's just an ability they don't have. And the problem with your guy, I think, was that he was probably, if you look at the third stage of integration, he probably had an exaggerated view of what his capacities really were because he wanted it and he wanted to be a business developer. And I mean, I'd love to be an NFL player, but I'm not going to try out for it, right? And after a year of vetting, there were no results. And you sound like you said, you took him through a lot of training experiences and this sort of thing. So I think for the good of the organization, it's good for him to do what he's good at. And if he wants to try it again later, have him start at a lower level and get a pretty intensive coaching experience that can monitor him. But I think you guys did the right thing.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks again.
Now,
Appreciate it.
Michelle, how did I embarrass you? Because I never want to embarrass you again.
No, I didn't say you embarrassed me. I said I had the embarrassment.
But you rocked. What did you think you did that was embarrassing? I thought it was a great question.
I don't know. Just my personal issues, I guess.
All right. But seriously, I thought it was a question that was helpful and a very real-time question. And, keep those questions coming. They're what we need here.
Thank you.
All right, Michelle. Take care. All right, Todd.
Hey again, Dr. Townsend. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia right now. I forgot to mention that the first time. So in your lecture on strategy, specifically when you were talking about the strategic plan, you noted the importance of having 1, 3, and 5-year goals for your department that you're over or the department that you're in. Any tips for those of us who want to be strategic planners and do strategic planning on how we can set 1, 3, and 5-year goals when we're not completely sure what the organization's 1, 3, and 5-year goals are, and it's not been communicated from the leadership?
Well, have there been attempts to go to the leadership and say, we want to make some plans too, so could you tell us what they are?
Yes.
And when you ask that question, what do they say?
Sometimes I'm not sure exactly the leadership knows. It's in an odd organization's a little bit odd when it comes to secrecy at the leadership level, and I think what their intention is they're wanting things to be like a pleasant surprise, which is great, except for all of us that work there.
That is a strange statement. They want it to be a pleasant, as if success is like, waving a wand or something. That's kind of interesting. What is the industry that they're in?
Church.
I know that industry.
Yes.
So have you gone to either the elder board or the deacon board or the executive pastor or the senior pastor, whoever it is, and said, I'd like to know your articulated strategic plan for years 1, 3, and 5? Has somebody been that direct, you or someone else?
I have not gone to the 5-year level, but I have asked for the 1 and 3-year level and asked, what should I be doing? Also, what do you envision my department? I oversee a department. What do you envision my department doing?
Okay, so we'll put that on the parking lot for right now. When you went to X and said, I'd like to know what your 1 and 3-year strategy is, what is X's answer?
Diversion.
Okay, let's
kind of
get this.
dancing around
We got to do another
the
role play.
subject.
I'm way too intrigued. Not do it. So,
Role play.
let's say it's your executive pastor.
Can I give you some more context, just to be helpful? I've bounced around in the organization. My role has stayed the same, but we have restructured multiple times. And I have had 5 different supervisors in the last 5 years. So I think there is still trying to figure it out.
Well, that would be an okay answer. That's an okay answer. Is we're confused and chaotic, but diversion is not an okay answer. So, who am I speaking to? My direct? To my supervisor? Am I speaking to my department leader? Am I speaking to the exec pastor? Am I speaking to Bill Elder Board, senior pastor? Give me a face here, buddy.
Let's go with executive pastor. I'm trying to
Sam,
remember
good to be
what's
with you.
the last conversation I had.
Yeah. Really love what I'm doing here, and I love the energy here, and there's so much kingdom-minded stuff going on here, and love to see the life changes. Can I ask you a question about our organization? I really want to do a great job of heading up the children's evangelism division that if you put me in charge of, I'm excited about it. But in order for me to make this fit with the big vision, I'd like to see a copy of your articulated 1 and 3 year strategic plan. Can you give it to me? Then I can kind of form mine to fit yours.
We don't have anything in writing in the moment, but I think that's still something we're trying to figure out of how to get it in writing and how exactly we want to word everything.
That's a big deal. That's a big deal. Sure. When will that be done? You're working on it. When it'll be done?
We're working on it right now, and there's a lot of stuff that we're working on, and that doesn't necessarily have a.
Gotcha. Is there an approximate due date, like 10 minutes from now, or 3 years from now, or can you give me sort of a, because you've been working on it hard, you probably got consultants or people that know what they're doing. Is there sort of a rough guess? That would help me.
Yeah, I'd say, Todd, I completely understand your questions, and they're great questions, and I understand if you may be frustrated by this a little bit, and to be honest, I'm a little bit frustrated that we aren't there as well. And with all the restructuring that's been happening, we're still trying to figure out exactly who's carrying that and where that's coming from. So I can't give you
So there's no really broad ballpark if this is months or years or weeks or anything like that. We just don't know.
I mean, we have our 3-year big 30,000 foot kind of goals that we shared with all the volunteers at our last volunteer meeting, but I understand that yours need to be more specific.
Okay, thank you. Any idea when you'll have that? If it'll be like weeks or months or years, Sam?
I will try to get an answer
for
you on that. I will ask about that in our next executive team meeting.
Okay, great.
Tuesday of next week.
So can I talk to you next Wednesday and see what the approximate range of dates would be that we'll have a strategic plan underlying the goals of 3-year plan?
Yes, I would really love to.
Okay, I really don't want to be Mr. Obsessive, detailed guy, and I'm a team player. I'm a total team player, Sam. But I can't tell you how much that would help me, because I really want to be a part of a church that loves the Lord and helps people. So if you'll do that, then what I'll do is whatever information you give me, then I'll tailor what I'm doing to what we're doing. Thank you for the time. I'll talk to you Wednesday.
Great.
What do you think?
I think that I'm going to have some separation issues.
That is classic. That is great. He knows the character model. It's good. Good, Todd. Self-aware man. I like that.
Well, learn from Elisa.
Do you,
I'm just not typically that direct.
Okay,
So I
yeah,
just
that's a
need
growth issue.
more direct.
Was I mean at all? No, I tried to be warm but direct. I thought about a Bible passage as we were going through that because the guy was so diversionary. I thought about Proverbs 6 where it says, "Be thou like the ant, you sluggard, who she sows in the spring and she harvests in the fall." The ant is just persevering, point by point by point. I was just trying to nail down an answer for the poor guy. And you're just a nice, warm, loving ant named Todd, like we all are. So go for it, buddy. Thank you. All righty, Rebecca. Hello.
Hello.
Rebecca, you know you're one of my favorite people.
Really? You haven't had my second conversation, but that's another conversation.
What?
Scott will
Just
fill
go
you
with the
in.
question. Yeah.
Just go with. Right. We already had a conversation about the conversation. So my name is Rebecca, and I'm in Shawnee, Kansas, and I'm still trying to understand attuning. So yesterday I tried to crash your server by sitting in with the counseling students.
Are you the one that did
it? Me. Yeah. So were other people from my cohort. So we like listening. Anyway, so I saw you listening to tuning to Christina in the counseling program. You said, this is awful. This is terrible. I can't believe you did that. You passionately connected with her and her story, and you did it again with Elisa earlier. I'm trying to understand attuning. I'm not getting it.
What was not gettable about what I did?
Oh, what you did was excellent. What you did was excellent. But for me, I think I judged the validity of a feeling that the person presents with. And so both of theirs seemed very valid. And so I felt like, yeah, I could probably attune to that. So of course, I have my own little research people in my house. I have a 7-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 5-year-old. And I've tried attuning to my 9-year-old when he's, thinks it's horribly unfair that he can't have screen time or an iPhone, and he thinks I'm mocking him, or he thinks that because I'm saying, hey, yeah, that's really awful, he thinks that I should act for him instead of him acting. So I think I'm missing something. Can you help me?
There's a couple of principles involved. There's no such thing as an invalid feeling if it's an authentic feeling. So if a person is happy and they say they're sad, that's not valid because they're lying or they're in denial, right? But if a person has a real feeling and you see it on their face and it fits with their circumstances, sort of thing, there's no such thing as an invalid feeling. So since the tuning is following the feelings, and we talked about that last night, and saying something about it so they know they get it, you can't go wrong as long as you're somewhere in the dartboard. And that's why I said in the TPRAT that there's 116 feelings and, follow that to get the nuances. So don't worry about whether their feeling is valid or not, as long as you know it's authentic. The second thing is, yes, it can occur when you tell somebody bad news and they're really bugged or pissed off or, annoyed, like you can't have the cookie or you got to give up your device or you're grounded, and they say, well, that's not fair. And you say, I know it's hard. Then they might go, they could either say, you're just making fun of me, or, oh, you're saying I can go ahead and have the cookie, right? Okay. In the first case, when they say, you're making fun of me, then the answer is, we just got to do it, Rebecca. You just be the one that said you're making fun of me. So I'm going to say, okay, you really can't have the device past 9 o'clock. It's too late for me. Now you be mad and protest.
That's not fair. All my friends can be on their device late.
Yeah, I know. I know it's hard because knowing that there's other people that you like who can have that freedom, it's hard that you don't have the freedom in our house. I understand that.
You're just making fun of me.
Oh, how did you see that? I don't understand. Help me.
Because you're saying what I'm saying back to me.
Oh, can I tell you what I was feeling when I said it? Would that help? Because I wasn't making fun of you. Can I tell you what I was feeling?
No.
Oh, so
He's 9.
you'd like to criticize me, but not understand what we're trying to say to each other. Is that what you'd like?
Here he usually starts using divergent tactics.
Do it. Just do it.
Sorry, this is like our supper conversation at the table, so I'm trying to remember.
Glass of wine. Let's do this right. So, you know, supper, that's what supper's for.
Where were we at?
So
Give me a cue.
I want to understand, Billy, what you're saying is that you'd like to be angry at me and tell me how angry you are at me, but I can't say anything about that. Is that how you want the conversation to go? Because I was going to tell you how I felt when I was telling you I thought it was hard for you, but you didn't want that. So are you saying, I just want to blast you, Mom, but I don't want to hear your part of it? Is that the deal?
That's not what I'm saying.
Okay, so can I tell you what I was really feeling?
You're trying to confuse things.
Oh, can I unconfuse things?
I was trying to say something different.
Oh, what were you trying to say, sweetheart?
You never listen.
So when you said I'm not fair, what you're really trying to say is I never listen?
It's not fair.
Okay. Sweetheart, we have a ground rule in the Rebecca home, and it's that we solve one problem at a time. Because 2 or 3 or 20 problems are really crazy making, and then you're frustrated and I'm unhappy and all that. So I need you to tell me one thing you're unhappy about, and we're not going to change the subject until we solve that one thing. Sweetheart, tell me that one thing that's on your heart, and I'll deal with you on it.
I wish everyone in the world could have an iPhone. I think that's a good one.
That's the one thing?
Yeah. I think that's the one thing my 9-year-old.
You're out of character right now.
I'm out of character.
All right.
So I have a problem staying with him logically because it escalates.
You just got to say, no, we're doing one thing, sweetheart. We'll solve one problem, and I'm not going to change the subject, nor are you. We're not going to talk about astronomy or giraffes or how bad a mother I am. One thing you're unhappy about. And if you get off...
Hey, I get the Awful Mother Award. It's okay.
Meaning, in 10 years, he will probably not be marrying an alcoholic, and he'll thank you. So good for you.
I hope so.
All right.
But yeah. Okay, thank you.
Look. All right.
Thanks.
Who is this?
Sally's our last question of the night.
Hey, Sally.
Hi, I'm in the Central Coast in California.
Yes, you
sorry
are.
for the bad lighting. My question is from a church context. I'm not in a leadership position, but I've seen leaders be developed in the church over the course of 5 or 6 years, and then they leave, and it's almost like there's no loyalty. And that's kind of scary to me because I don't understand how someone can be committed enough to work for that period of time, but then just leave, not necessarily on bad terms, but almost like with complete like ambivalence toward the church. So when does a leader decide to keep, when does a senior pastor, for example, decide to keep a leader versus encourage them to move on when they really haven't bought into that culture?
When does a senior pastor know if it's right to tell somebody to move on or not if they haven't bought into the vision of the church? Is that the question?
Yes. Because it appears to me that there are a lot of people who are working within the church as leaders who haven't bought into the culture. It's confusing to me how they can.
Well, number one, 5 years isn't bad, Sally. Now, for the senior and exec and the elder board, that's bad because that's going to mess up things. But 5 years for other levels is kind of okay for a church. I mean, it's sad, but you can function and people can have vision and people can get spiritual needs met and get saved and all that. But your question of when do they tell them, the senior person's got to look at a couple of dynamics. Not dynamics, a couple of realities. Number one is what's the talent market like in that particular specialty? Because you might have somebody that hasn't really bought in, but there's nobody in 1,000 miles of that who would come forward. They're gonna, if they have to leave, then they've got this huge vacuum, and that's awful. So if they're doing at least a competent job in some metric performable level, they're not exciting, they're not a rock star, but they're competent, and there's no other talent around, you keep them, and you just kind of keep putting feelers out until you hear about other talent. The second thing is if they're not doing a competent job, well, then you give them reparative things and say, you know, you got to change these and all that. And if you can't, you go. The third thing is if they are, okay, I covered competency and I covered lack of buy-in. Oh, the other part about lack of buy-in, let's assume they are competent, but the buy-in to the vision is the part that's broken, is I think sometimes the church needs to really put resource into helping people have buy-in. People sometimes don't have buy-in for bad reasons like narcissism and ego and, you know, what else? Laziness or not a good work ethic or whatever. Those are horrible reasons. They should probably go if they can't be repaired. But other people, like I was talking about, that the Katarine was talking about how those young folks don't have vision because they don't have a lot of buy-in. So to do their best job is to say, let's talk about vision and what it is and what we expect to see and how can we help you with it, and have you brainstorm and have a retreat or two. And then you'll have a percentage of those people go, oh, I get it now. I finally had input into it. I'm all in. I'm aligned. And then you solve your problem because the church put a resource into visioning itself as something to learn. Then you have the others that just go, I'm just waiting for my time to go have my next mega church. Then it's either they're confident or not. That's kind of the structure to use.
Thank you so much.
All right. Best wishes, Sally. All right, Scotty.
Okay, it's book time.
Oh my gosh, so many great questions. I wish you could like play Brene Brown while I'm trying to think. These are great questions tonight.
I've got some music. Sound familiar?
Is that from your Barnum and Bailey movie?
Yeah, Greatest Showman. It's just background music.
Okay, background music. All right, let me look at these. I got to vet them out now.
Okay, I won't distract you.
Scott, you're a bad person. Did I tell you that? Clark is just laughing at how
many times. Many times. But this is me. What can I say?
Man, these are good. Oh.
See, now Dr. Townsend takes his serious students. Me, I just close my eyes and just kind of just point down.
Yeah, that's how you pick me as a friend.
And look where it got me. So I should have done what you're doing.
Gosh, these are good. They're showing that you guys are getting the material, you understand the strategic issues and the organizational issues, but you also understand character structure and relationships and all that. You really are, you guys are getting it, what we're trying to do. This is wonderful.
If you guys want to go and grab a bite to eat and come back, I think I think we'll be ready by that time.
Todd, who has a boss who's vague and diverts, and I thought it was really a good training for all of us on how to be nice and warm, but still be direct. It's just a skill everybody's got to learn, not to be harsh and direct and unloving, but also not to put up with vagueness and go after the truth. It's very helpful, Todd. What's his last name, Scott?
Linder. Wait, no, yes,
Linder.
Linder. Linder.
He's the guy. Thank you for what you did. And that's it.
Okay.
Good night, Jimbo.
Good night, Jimbo.
What's going on? I was asleep. What's everybody doing?
Good night.
Good night, Jimbo.
Look at all those beautiful people.
Look at all these world changers here, and organizations, and
Right.
and corporate leaders, and ministers, and entrepreneurs, and coaches, changing the world.
Greater fools that they're going to become. And actually, we had 70 out of the possible 80 some students. So the percentage is actually higher than the counseling students. Not that we're competitive. So good job showing up.
No, we're
I
not
know.
competitive at all, Scott.
Great questions. You're getting it. Good to see you all. Great to gather as a family again.
Really good. It's good partnering, you guys. I love all of you. This is wonderful. I'm glad you're in this experience and you're on this journey with us. Hope this is helpful.
Everybody quiet down now. Everybody quiet down now. Get some sleep.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Ben.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Good night, children.
Good night, Daddy. Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, Jimbo.
Okay.
Good night,
Good
Jimbo.
night.
Good night, Jimbo.
Good night, Jimbo.
Everybody quiet down now. Get some sleep.
What's going on?
Everybody.
I was asleep.
Come on. Quiet down.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Good night, children.
Good night, Daddy. Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Jimbo. Good night, Jimbo.
Good night, Jimbo.
What's going on? I was asleep. What's everybody doing?
Hi, Tara.
Good
Good
night.
night, Jimbo.
Hi, Barry. Say hi to Pennsylvania.